We're live.
Granite is recording the call. Nice. I don't know if I broke protocol calling you. Say again?
Does it come up with it usually says, I need to give you permission to record you.
No, I've obviously given you permission already.
What's that mean?
Oh. You know, I can't think of anything major that's happened over the last few months.
What
can you possibly talk about? Yeah.
What can we possibly talk about? Apart from you being guest of the decade, apparently.
It's official, I heard.
Official?
Yeah. It's just been mentioned on the podcast.
We'll let you have it, mate. We'll let you have it.
Yeah. Well, I was happy to let Mason get a guest of the year last year, and I think it's well deserved that he did a very good and long episode, and wish him best of luck with all the stuff he's got going on when coronavirus ends. But I noted you didn't put down a guest of the decade.
So it slid in there.
Slid in, yeah. Get the DMs going.
Sliding into the DMs. Come
on, let's have a tour. Let's have a tour of the shed.
A tour of the shed. Everybody's seen the shed.
Oh no, but there's some new stuff up there. There's more stuff up there. I see your sign box. Who's that picture of?
Joe Kawasaki.
I thought it was Joe, but I didn't want to say in case you're like, no, it's someone else.
Obviously.
SAF over there.
Who?
Sir Alex.
Yeah, that's my actual. This is made especially for me.
Was it by Alex himself? He sort of put it together in between.
No, it says It says to SAC Thompson, be safe in Afghanistan. Best wishes, Sir Alex.
Aww.
And then obviously we've got the signed mitts from
Jack, is it?
Jack Shaw, Jack Marshman, and Mason Jones. So there's a few other bits, some football gloves, military shit, got about everywhere.
I should send you something to have in your shed. Oh look, have you seen this? There you go. What's that?
Yeah, where did you get a sticker from?
You muppet.
Hey. Will I send it?
No, when you were at fake Christmas.
Oh yes, I remember now. Yes, when I was up, I remember.
I got some.
You fucking idiot. Hey, everything is moulding into one these days.
I know. I talked about the podcast to my mate, a couple of the admin stuff up at Manchester Uni, and so after I got a couple of stickers off you, I was like, Matt, I've got a present for you. You're really gonna like it. He's like, he was like, what have you got? Like what? So I went in and I saw him. I was like, Matt, I've got a present for you. And I gave him a sticker. He's like, oh, I'm going to treasure it. And then the two ladies in the divisional office, they were like, where's our sticker? I was like, yeah, here you go. You can have one each as well. Fine.
Yeah, have your sticker.
I haven't
got any left. Georgie went to town on those stickers, mate.
Have you? Oh dear.
She went nuts with them. So God knows what's happened with them.
I think. Do you want me to send you some? Got two left. I think there's a couple on Imogen's. I've got a few there actually. I've got a couple on Imogen's. They've got like a fake kitchen, a little toy kitchen. So there's like one on there.
I keep finding them where I've literally forgotten where I put them, and then they appear like on a random bus stop and things. It's like, I must have been here.
Or Georgie, which would be odd.
Yeah, or Georgie, or Jess. Jess went wild with them as well. She went nuts.
I was with Ed Kirk and we were talking about going. We should go out for a meal. Like, we should go out, have a chat. He's like, let's go Beefy Boys. And as you know, Ed owns the burger shop, which is rival. I don't know if that's the right word, but
friendly competition.
Yeah, and I think actually in Hereford it's a very inclusive culture in that indie food culture. But he was like, yeah, let's go Beefy Boys. And he goes, and when we're there, Chris, we'll take a load of rule of thumb stickers and we'll just have to like hide them and stick them around the place without them knowing. And we'll also go with like a massive clipboard and just like log how long everything takes. I was like, I would be well up for that. Just measuring stuff.
Especially if Darren's working.
Yeah. Darren, what's that, mate?
That tiny head chef with the attitude problem. What? Or should I say, the head chef that turned into a pirate on Monday?
Yeah, you told me. You went a bit full on.
He went full Jack Sparrow, mate. Why's the rum gone?
I saw that was it called Dad Fest or Darren Fest or something like that?
Dad. Yeah.
Where's the rum gone? Where's the rum gone? You drank it, Darren?
Yeah, he drank it, mate. All of it.
It's his birthday. He's on furlough.
Hey, all I gotta say is, don't make plans. Don't make plans.
Don't tell someone.
Absolutely off your face. Don't make plans with your brother, who's supposed to be recording at 2. He closed it down and went for a nap without telling me.
Just went.
He just went. As you do.
It was probably the best thing.
It's his birthday. He's in isolate, or well, in lockdown, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Lockdown.
Yeah, it's what it is, isn't it? It is what it is.
It's a very strange situation. But
you've had.
Oh yeah, this is the segue. This is the reason you want me on, isn't it? I've had it. Yeah, I've had it. Yeah,
no, that's not the only reason. I want to talk about The Last Dance. If you've watched it yet.
I watched the greatest ever basketball film ever today. Me and Imogen watched Space Jam. Yeah. On the old Netflix.
We'll get on to that in a sec.
You've
had COVID-19. I keep saying coronavirus. You've had the strain that is COVID-19.
Yes, I have. Yeah, coronavirus is a classification virus. I have. Yeah, I had it. Wasn't very nice. Wasn't as bad as I've had worse viruses for me. Does that make sense? Obviously, not. See, it affects different people differently. And that's one of the problems with this. Well, and all viruses do, of course. But one of the problems is obviously for many people it's very mild, like really mild. For some people, it's going to stop you from wanting to go to work and stop you from doing stuff, but it's not going to cause much long-term damage. And then some people it will kill. A very small percentage of people, but enough for it to be, a worry and concern, more so than flu. And because of that, it's obviously really, really quite bad. I can tell you my experience if that's what the listeners want.
That's what that's what you want to hear because you're the only listener.
Yeah, so. It's just me. Anyone that knows me will know that I would love to hear the sound of my own voice.
Don't we all? That's why I started a podcast.
Sadly, I don't have a podcast at least. I started feeling a bit like I got a cough. I think it was on Thursday, and this is before lockdown, so this is pre-lockdown, and I think it was the week that Bojo said, "Hey, we're not going to close the pubs, but you shouldn't go to pubs anymore."
Yeah.
She's like, well done, Boris. We're not going to close restaurants, but maybe don't go to restaurants.
That was like the very vague, don't do it, but I'm not telling you not to do it. It's like, can you just give us a fucking order?
Just tell us what to
not
do.
To do it.
Yeah. And everyone thought it was, because if they close them, then everyone's going to have these insurance payouts. But it turns out no one got an insurance payout, even when they said to do it. But anyway, I mean, enough of the government sleepwalking into this. But
that's a completely different segue.
We'll talk about that later if you want. Thursday I started feeling. I think it was a Thursday. I started feeling a bit bad, and then on the Friday I had full on. What do you call it? Like a fever, I suppose, overnight, which is often like when I've had viruses before. It's been overnight. I've had fevers, and I was feeling pretty grotty overnight on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday kind of was a slow recovery, and we'd been in we've been in quarantine because Ivy had a cough. And, like if someone gets a cough, then before this happened, then everyone has to be in lockdown for a week.
That's what happened with George. Had a cough and got sent home from school.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same thing, right? And so we were down, and Martha was able to go back to work on that Monday, because she'd had symptoms and stuff. So she was able to go back to work on the Monday, because it's 7 days from the first set of symptoms. And she'd obviously had it. And I, and she'd been all right with it. Obviously not all great, but she'd been all right with it. This is a crap explanation. Sorry for anyone listening. And then, so I knew for that Monday I was going to have the girls on my own, right? And obviously Martha working at NHS hospital, she needed to be back to work, right? That was that was important. So I knew I was going to have to just be like a bit crap, and look after the girls. And so Monday morning, Martha leaves for work she starts at 8, so she left probably 7:30, something like that. And I just remember 9 o'clock or 8:30, 9 o'clock, I did the girls like a crumpet or something, and I had a bit of crumpet, and I just threw the crumpet back up. I was just like, I couldn't eat, and I felt terrible, and I started to feel a bit better by the end of the day. And then Tuesday, the same thing. I started off not feeling great, but by the end of the day I was feeling like almost back to normal.
Yeah.
And then Martha gets home on Tuesday, and my body just goes, right, bye adrenaline. And I just crashed.
Crashed.
And I just crashed. And then Wednesday was awful. Again, so Martha works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday was awful. I remember feeling cold, tired, shivery, no energy, and just then a complete loss of appetite. And then Thursday, Friday, which were the days I was meant to be working full time, I just spent all of it in bed pretty much. I did 3 meetings in bed on like Skype calls, but without video, just like talking to things that had been set up, things I needed to kind of cover off, and then I'd literally just fall asleep.
Okay, fair play.
And then
to wipe you out, didn't it? For about what would you say, about a week, and then start coming back?
Yeah, I had this double dip because I was kind of not fine by Monday or Tuesday. I was better by Tuesday, and then I just crashed Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I stayed just in bed, and I napped so many times. I was just completely wiped out. Didn't eat much at all, and then that continued into the weekend. And I think the first weekend I'd had it, I was trying to help out and do stuff and be dad and look after the girls. And I was aware, obviously Martha's got this difficult job, so I didn't want to sort of overburden her with having to look after me and the girls and knowing she had.
Because you're a bloke, you'd just be absolute big baby.
Yeah. So I was aware of all that, and she was like, "No, Chris, you need to rest. Like, this thing's actually like serious. You do need to rest."
Yeah. Hey, listen to your wife. She's a doctor.
And this is the thing, because I know when stuff's bad actually. Because often if I'm ill, not that she's not caring, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, she deals with people that have got really serious problems. So like, if I'm just got this, she'd be like, "Come on, Chris, just take a paracetamol and get on with it. This isn't something to worry about." But she kept saying, "Oh no, you need to sit down. And why are you trying to tidy up or sweep the floor or do this thing when you should just trying to rest?" So I had that dip. I was bad that second week. Like a week on, I was feeling bad. Thursday, Friday, I was pretty bad. Then the weekend, again, I took it much more seriously in terms of like resting up and recovering. And then again on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I had the girls again on my own in the day. And I started to feel a bit better. And probably by the Wednesday, again, I was back to, maybe Tuesday, I was kind of back to over it. But honestly, the amount it took out of me, I lost so much weight because I just not eaten, and like my face now it's not as chubby as it was previously, but like I've chubbed back up again. But I spoke to someone on Skype and they're like, "Mate, you've lost so much weight." Yeah, they could just see it.
COVID diet is what you're saying.
The COVID diet, yeah. But what I hadn't realised at the time was actually, and I know I'm not a big bulky guy, but how much muscle mass I'd lost. And Martha's like, you literally, if I look at your legs and like your calves or anything, everything, you just look like you've just like lost muscle mass as well. And it's like from 2 weeks of having this illness.
You went from like normal Chris to looking like an actual golf club.
Yeah, like Chris when he was 18. I wish I looked like Chris when I was 18. No, I mean my hair was awful and I had a goofy neck face. I need to bulk out a bit, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was just.
I know what you mean.
And like things like we go for our walk and we've got this big backpack that I put Ivy in. It's like a special backpack for carrying kids in, not just like.
You don't just put her in a.
Yeah, just head out the top.
Hey.
And so we've been using that a lot because the problem with you're allowed to leave the house once for exercise is a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then 2 adults in their 30s do not need the same amount of exercise. Like, hey, let's all just follow Ivy, and then when she's tired, we'll have all had enough exercise. That doesn't work. So occasionally we do that, and we started going off where I'll take Ivy and Martha will take Imogen, and occasionally we'll go in the backpack and go for a longer walk, and then I've been on maybe 2 runs. 1 run. But yeah, it was like I can see why if you were an older person who didn't have as much resilience, and you got it a bit like me. I mean, I didn't have much of the breathing problems. I had a cough. I couldn't breathe deeply. If I breathe in deep, even now, if I breathe in really deep, it will start me coughing, or certainly would a few days ago. Yeah, but I think everyone's experience is different, and there's lots of people out there who don't know if they've had it or not, right?
Yeah,
they've had some symptoms.
They've had some symptoms, but not all of them, and it's like. But this goes back to even like December sort of time, because I'm not saying it is that strain, because apparently it wasn't over here or whatever. I don't really know. But Kate and her old man were wiped out for about 2 weeks.
Really? Yeah.
Like Mark, I've never seen Mark look so ill before, and he's very rarely ill at all. Kate, Kate's ill if she can't even clean the house, right? Because she's a neat freak. But yeah, she was wiped out. She was having hot and cold sweats. She like basically all the symptoms of this virus, well, flu symptoms.
Yeah.
So I was like winding her up earlier, and you do know you've had it. She's like, have I? Yeah, you've had it. Don't worry about it.
It's a real like. There was loads of people in Manchester that were ill back then as well.
Hate it. I say I hate it. Work is easy at the minute.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody there really, and I've still got a routine because I'm a key worker. I've still got my routine where I go to work. Kate's hating it because now she's got mummy.
Mother, dearest. Mummy.
Then I come home. Right? Can I go on the Xbox?
No. You could tidy the house.
Yeah.
I think the lack of routine, or trying to build some new routine is tough. And like Martha says, she likes to escape, but like it's good to be able to go and have a bit of normality and going back to work. Whereas as most of the time I work from home. I go up to Manchester to do my stuff, and I might be up there 2 or 3 days a week. But then I'm used to working from home. It's not a new thing for me. But also things like when I'm working from home and the girls are here, then if they're starting to get a bit ratty's the wrong word, but if they're like feeling a bit constrained by the house, then Martha say, right, let's go, and we're going to pop out to go to her mum's or go to town or go see a friend or whatever. Just go do something. And of course you can't do that now. So if I'm trying to work on the days that I've got sort of.
Yeah, we've got because we're a bit like you in the sense where we're very close to the family. Like like basically every day we'll probably see Kate's mum and dad, and the girls will see them most days, if not definitely on a Saturday, because they have the girls if I'm at work. But now it's like Sophia was in bits, mate, the other day because she missed her family. She was literally. We were sat watching. I don't know what movie it was. I'm just going to throw it out there. It might have been Frozen, for example. Doesn't really matter. It's not part of the story. But like halfway through, she just burst into tears. It's like, what? Not even a sad bit. Olaf's dancing.
Yes, Olaf doing his. Was it a bit when he says he's going to be a puddle? Yeah. Winter's a good time to stay in to snuggle, but put me in summer and I'll be a happy snowman.
Yeah, that one.
That bit. Yeah.
But it's not that. Yeah. Anyway, whatever it was supposed to be the happy part of the movie, and she's bursting into tears. It's like, what's the matter? Oh, I miss Nanny and Grandad. It's like, right, quick Skype or quick Google Duo or whatever it is. Well, last night we had the Google Duo out, and we had basically Kate's entire family on it, which was nice. The funniest, and I know she listens, my mum, right? We've tried to do a Skype call.
Hi, Donna.
With me, Darren, Georgie, Lana, me, and girls, all of us with Mum and Mike. Every time, Mum, we're ready. Nah, I'm not doing it today. But if I FaceTimed her now, for example, she would answer and would talk my ears off for fucking.
Get her on the podcast. Get her on the poddy. She can join in. I saw your mum the other day, just rubbing it in.
Was she wearing her mask and her stupid gloves?
She wasn't wearing a mask. We had to go and post a letter. Who were we posting a letter for? So I had all four of us went, and we needed to buy stamps as well. So we walked round to the post office. Martha went in. I had the backpack on, and I saw your mum through the doorway because there's only one person allowed in at a time.
Loads of people started moaning about that. My mum was saying.
Yeah, well,
they were moaning because only one person. It's like, come on.
Yeah, no, I think the one person in at a time is probably fair. I mean, it's not her call anyway. I mean, it's a small area.
It's a small shop in it, and there's quite a lot of shit in there.
Quite a lot of valuable produce.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. I think the complaints I've seen on Facebook, I saw people complaining about like if you can't take kids in, and so if you're a single parent. Or if your other half's a key worker and whatever, it's difficult and you need to get something, then they're saying, well, I can't take my 3-year-old and leave them inside. I don't want to drive to Morrison's with a kid. So, I mean, there's no easy win, and it's obviously it's not your mum's call anyway. It's whoever owns the franchise or whatever who's making the decisions. But
Premier, I think.
Yeah. But any case,
any case,
you can't. So the thing is, like,
my mum would just tell you anyway. She's got no filter.
Yeah. no comments. No, your mum's lovely.
To you.
Sean James. Sean James.
She's nuts, mate. Absolutely bonkers. Yeah. I have heard though. I heard on the news today.
All right.
This segues into a separate segue.
Okay. Is it a double segue?
It could be. So, like, Netflix has got like 60 million new subscribers to it or something because of these lockdowns.
Yeah.
Which is because now everybody can watch The Last Dance.
And Tiger King. Oh yeah, and Last Dance.
And Tiger King. With Tiger, we'll go on to Last Dance in a minute. With Tiger King.
Yeah, shoot.
Carol Baskin. If that was a TV series, as in like a made-up one, you'd go, "This is far too far."
Yeah.
This bollocks.
If it was like a fantasy fiction, that's what.
Yeah, like a fictional TV series, you go, "No, this is bollocks. I'm not having this." As in, no content, fucking Eddie Hearn. No, I'm not having this. It's bollocks. But it's that intriguing because it's real. Did you see the one with him on Louis Theroux?
Yes.
We spoke about this before.
No, we might have spoken about it when I was wandering around Tesco's.
Probably because that's what we do. We basically have mini podcasts.
Yeah. Every time we talk, someone's like, "Why are we not recording this? This should be a podcast." I think I was driving from Nottingham to Manchester once, and we chatted, and you were like, "This would have been a good podcast." We were like 40 minutes or something. And then we were in Tesco's. Right.
But yeah, he's just fucking out of this world, and it's little things like get some crystal meth, and you're no longer a straight man anymore. Crystal meth and tigers, I'm all for the cock.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, they were saying like that even about what was the guy that took it off him? Is it Jeff Lowe? If I made that name up?
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
and like he would take the tigers to Vegas in like a suitcase because that's a sensible thing to do. You maniac.
Why not?
And just like entice girls up to his room with his other half just because he's got a tiger. And it's just like the power these creatures have, and they're just being exploited for.
Yeah.
Because, as they say, the thing is, they're useful for this tiny window in their life. I can't remember, was it up to 6 months old?
Yeah.
And up to,
isn't it?
And then you've got basically you've gone from having an asset to a liability, and then just
from cute and cuddly to that thing will eat you.
Can rip your arm off, but come back to work.
Yeah, that will rip your arm off, and you can go back to work and not really say anything. That's fine.
Crazy.
Or you could just chop up your husband and feed it to the tigers.
It's such a strange, like, because I know...
I was saying this to Kate, sorry to butt in, but she is as bad as the other fuckers.
Yeah. And she got, I think everyone feels a bit mislead, obviously Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin both feel kind of ill will towards, and the other guy, Joe, whatever his name is, feel bad about the way that they were portrayed in the documentary. But I just think they left themselves open to it, because Carol Baskin, her place, I mean, everything, they were just showing it side by side, saying, oh, by the way, they're doing the same stuff, right? Apart from they're getting people to volunteer, and so they're not paying any wages for that.
And she's saying that she's helping them, but really that's the thing. She goes, oh, I love all these big cats, they need to be in the wild. Yeah, you've put them in a cage as well.
Yeah. And it's just a weird, like, I thought they hung it, and there was that one where, like, there was a tiger in a really small cage while she was being interviewed. It was right behind her, and like, according to Carol Baskin, said, oh, it was unfair they put that in because the tiger wanted to be in that cage, because there was actually a much bigger cage that it was linked to, and the tiger was just stood there, like, in the small cage. But I kind of think, well, you should have realised that at the time. Yeah. Like you're an adult who's wanting to get something out of this, but you need to portray yourself. Yeah, I mean the other one,
the other fucking bloke that like
Doc.
seduces these young girls to basically his Neverland Ranch.
Yeah, wow, just
cutting about on an elephant, as you do.
And again, and they were all saying, like, I don't know if you've seen the follow-up show where they interview a couple of them. They always say, my loyalty was to the animals. It was never really to Joe. And that was what the lady said, who used to be one of Doc Ansell's, in his harem, whatever, lived out there. And it was all about power, and just effectively the animals were the hook. And that was the reason that people got away with stuff. It's weird, man. It's
too strange to really. It's a fucking nuts.
It's nuts. It's really nuts.
Saying it when we first started watching it, I remember saying to Kate, I was like, "Do you want to watch this documentary called The Tiger King?" I was like, "Everyone's talking about it on like Joe Rogan and the kid I listened to." She was like, "What's it about?" I went, "You wouldn't believe me even if I told you." And she was like, "Oh, show me the trailer." I showed her the trailer, and she was like, this isn't real." No, it is fucking real. But there's like a petition to get him out of prison as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, again,
there's so much evidence of him saying that I want to kill her.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that obviously he's guilty of killing the tigers, right, or whatever, because they were put up on there, and like, there's no really way around that. He said, "Yeah, I killed them," like the way it was edited, at least. It
Yeah,
sounded
yeah.
like that. Yeah, he kind of admitted to that. Now, the fact that the guy who wanted to get his ranch off him, it was his guy that he sent to,
Yeah,
it
that's
seems
all.
a bit flaky. But again, like they will just frame it in a particular way. Now, I think that it's dodgy and like looking at what's there. But of course, the people who make the documentary have got an agenda. They want to make a good, compelling
cool.
TV show. And there've been people that have come out and said since, like, yeah, he's not a nice man.
No.
But it's not about whether he's nice or not. It's whether he did something that's illegal. And as you're right, just going around saying I want to kill her and shooting and blowing her up and all that stuff. If you were Carol Baskin, you could see why.
Yeah,
you wouldn't really be.
She fucking stitched herself up, didn't she? Yeah. With the fucking bit where they're talking about when he almost got caught by the tigers in his own pen, and then they went, "What did you make of this?" He went, "Well, if they wanted the tiger to eat him, you need to put sardine oil on him or something like that." He's like, "Oh, so that's how you did it."
Oh, do you? Amazing. The whole show's it's just crazy. It is just crazy.
There's some brilliant. When you go through your little rabbit holes on Netflix, you find some fucking really good stuff. Like me and Darren have both been going on fucking serial killer binges. It's mad. Like there's loads of those ones on there. Like,
Ted Bundy. Have you seen Ted Bundy tapes? That was good.
Tapes Ted Bundy. That's good. Mindhunter, which is
that's been recommended. Yeah, that's been recommended to me. That's good.
If you do watch it, sort of plow through the first couple.
Get better at it.
You're like, come on. And then they start interviewing these fucking nutters, and you're like, oh. And then you like, if you're like me, I'll go, who the fuck was that? And then you Google it, and you're like, oh, he was a fucking nutcase.
Not a nice man.
Yeah, and stuff. It's like really brilliant. But I went like full old school, mate. I started watching. I watched Silence of the Lambs first.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Very, very much enjoyed that.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Then I watched Hannibal.
Yeah.
And then I went Red Dragon, which is supposed to be before.
Yeah.
I was like, although these are based on a fictional book, these are brilliant.
Yeah.
These are brilliant. Anthony Hopkins, you are brilliant.
He's good, isn't he? He is good. Have you seen The Staircase? Is another one on Netflix.
Yes, Staircase was good. What do you reckon on that one?
Oh, I think the thing I agree with, like being a sciencey type bloke, is if you're going to do an experiment to see if the blood splatters the way that you want it to, you shouldn't be trying to recreate it by just doing whatever you can. So you'll remember. So for anyone that doesn't know, there's a woman who falls down a staircase, and they're trying to work out, was she murdered by her husband, or did she just fall because she was a bit drunk and whatever? And there's this blood splatter analysis of working out. And there's a guy who's for the prosecution, who's effectively trying to recreate what's happened, how the blood has splattered, to work out where was the guy stood when it happened. And he was like standing in a way that you would never stand, and like hitting at a weird angle, and then finally got one that did the same thing. It was like, aha, I have proved. And really, you should set yourself up to say, right, well, this is how the person would have behaved in that situation. If they are where I want, I'm going to do what it is that I think needs to happen. And then if the blood splatter matches, rather than going fishing for it. And so I don't know if he killed her or not.
I need to recreate this exact.
He was just trying to copy it, but by doing whatever he could with confines of this is the space. So that was my issue with it. Do I think he killed her? I don't know. He could have. I really think he could have.
That was another strange one where you're like, you're rooting for him, and then you're like, oh
yeah, but he might have done it. Yeah. Whereas making a murderer, I feel like they're both innocent. Right?
Yeah,
I feel both.
Same. I think that making a murderer. Fucking we're going on some brilliant tangents. I love it.
Yeah, I think they're definitely both innocent, and that poor kid, death by a thousand cuts. I felt really. Have you seen the second season? where they go through the courts with him.
Ooh, but I'm gonna download that shit.
Oh yeah, so the second season, he I won't
Don't you
spoil it for you. Yeah. But I felt really sorry for him because it looked like he was going to be whatever. So yeah, making a murderer. But again, this staircase. A part of me was like, yeah, but he may well.
Did you see the crazy like theory at the end? There's like a bonus 3-minute thing about a bird or an owl or something like that flies in. And she gets freaked out and falls down the stairs. So they think the owl did it.
Oh, for the staircase one?
Yeah, for the staircase.
Brilliant. Love her.
Yeah. The owl did it.
It was the owl. Well, my favourite theory on Tiger King is that Jeff Lowe is actually her first husband, because there's that photo of Carol Baskin at her first wedding. So she's married 3 times, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's married to this abusive bloke. She leaves him for the millionaire spots her walking out on the street when she's had a fight with this guy, and they hook up after that. I don't know what the time frames were. And then he disappears somehow via a tiger, and then allegedly. And
he's in the shit.
Yeah. And then whatever happens after that happens with this new guy. So yeah, the first husband looks similar to Jeff Lowe, and it's like, well, did she pay him off? But that would
also just throwing this out there, because I know Jeff Lowe is definitely listening to this.
Jeff Lowe.
Right,
Jeff, if you want a sticker, Jeff, if you want a sticker, then let me know. In the post,
and hey, Jeff Lowe, you're at least late 50s, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
Why are you still wearing a bandana?
Yeah.
Come on.
And a leather jacket.
What you doing?
Amazing.
What you doing? He's just fucking. Oh. But it is now, mate. It's got to be time. We got to talk about it.
Last Dance.
Got to be the Last Dance, mate.
I've not watched.
And for all those that you haven't watched it, there's no spoilers in it. Because it's Michael Jordan. Yeah. But if you ever want to see greatness, just watch that first episode and realize how good Michael Jordan was.
Does it make you reevaluate the GOAT debate? Because I've not seen it. I will watch it. Everyone forgets how good Mike was.
Yeah, there's always that. Is it LeBron? Is it Mike? Right. Michael Jordan is ridiculous. And don't forget, Michael Jordan decided he fancied playing baseball for 18 months as well.
Wasn't
No, he wasn't. But gave it a go. He gave it a good go. But basically, so he left for 18 months, came back, made it to the semis, or was it the Eastern Conference Finals? He made it back to in his first season back. See, the semis or the final.
They did ridiculously well, yeah.
And then the season after that, they then won the lot with 72 wins and 10 losses.
Crazy.
But there's bits in it, mate, that you wouldn't believe. The fucking cat's on the roof.
You sound like you're going crazy.
Yeah. There's bits in it that you're like. His work ethic is extraordinary. Like there's a bit in it where it goes back to his high school days, and his high school coach says to him, well, he got dropped originally, but I think it was his sophomore year. He said, "No, you're not playing. You're not good enough." And he went, "Well, I am," and then basically just trained all the time, all the fucking time. Just kept going. And it's like, and then in the same in when he was at North Carolina in his freshman year, they were like, "You're basically an average player." And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to prove to you that I'm not. And it basically started from his mentality from back at home, because he was always getting picked on by his older brother, and his dad was like, no, he was fighting for his dad's attention.
Yeah.
And that's what basically kept urging him on. And then he had this raw talent that then just, with his insane work ethic, is just fucking gone. They were saying that he could have potentially gone into the NBA earlier than he did as well. But he didn't actually want to go to the NBA when he first went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of Jen for you. He was going to stay on for another year at North Carolina.
North Carolina.
But mate, he's just. But the main thing that a lot of people don't realise as well was how good Scottie Pippen was.
Yeah.
Arguably the best 1-2 in NBA history. Arguably.
Who's guarding Shaq? Who's guarding Shaq? That's the question. Who's going to guard Shaq?
Pippen.
All right. So that means Kobe, Shaq win then. Yeah, no. I mean, I think the best is, it's difficult. You know, the best 1-2 punch is different to the best not the best two players to play together in a 2-on-2, right? Because if you put them in a 2-on-2, like Shaq always says, who's going to guard me? Because there's no other, apart from Stockton and Malone.
No other out there, really.
Yeah, you got Stockton and Malone might be able to take Shaq a bit, but then Stockton versus Kobe, it's not going to end well on defense for them, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's a completely different argument in it. But
yeah.
The main talking point in the series, second episode, was how underpaid Scottie Pippen was.
Yeah, really.
Signed a 7-year deal of 18 million. Right.
What was Jordan at the time?
Jordan was on like 37 million or something.
Mm.
But it was like,
he had all the shoe money, didn't he?
He did it because he didn't know when his last game was ever going to be. He thought, I might get injured, I need to sign a big deal. Mm. But then the general manager wouldn't let him negotiate a new contract. And that's why in his last season, he didn't play much. He was like, I'm not playing for you. He was going to leave. He asked to be traded from the Bulls in his last season.
Really?
Because, and even Jordan was going to go in the last season. If it wasn't for Jordan, they wouldn't have had that last
dance.
As Jordan said, because they gave Phil Jackson one more year. They went originally they went, no, you're done. We're not having you back. Yeah, you just won 5 titles, and they went, no, we don't want you. But yeah, coming up to the last dance, they went, you can have one more year. He was like, all right, do that, and I'll go somewhere else. And obviously, he went to the mighty Lakers.
LA.
But yeah, Jordan was like, well, if he goes, I'm going.
Yeah.
And they went, well, we can't do that, can we? Because they were trying to rebuild the franchise. So they need to rebuild, which is understandable. You can see that your players are getting older, but the way they went about it was just madness. But
I mean, that's the whole the NBA is such a mad way. I think it's incomprehensible to us Brits. Like, if you don't know about the intricacies of cap space, drafting, how the drafts are allocated. The fact there's no relegation or promotion, so you don't, there's no incentive to not be the worst team. There's actually an incentive to be the worst team, and that whole thing and building a team. If you don't know about it, then it just seems bizarre. And I remember talking to one of my friends about this was when we were trying to get LeBron to come to. Oh no, LeBron I think was already in LA, but we were trying to get another player to come, and I was kind of explaining what was going on. About this time last year, and it was like, it's just like you need to understand so many things about how the league sets up.
Yeah, you can't just go out and go, right, I want to buy LeBron James for 50 million, or as he would be equivalent to a Premier League
Messi.
player.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, he'd probably be 300 million, right?
Yeah.
If it was
he's a freak athlete himself.
And if you were trying to take the NBA model, which is actually just most American sports, it's the same in most of them, I believe.
Yeah.
And it put it in the Premier League, it wouldn't work because the NBA is a captive market. There's the one best league in the world that you would go to, and so you could put a cap on it, and you know, and you don't need to interact with any other leagues, right? You don't need to be interchangeable between the American and the Lithuanian league because almost everyone is going to want to prefer to play in the NBA.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas you try to put that into the UK system, it doesn't work because we've got to be able to sell players and buy players from. So it's interesting.
It is a way of doing things.
Yeah, and and I think there's something to be said for the way it kind of does nurture talent a bit, in a way it kind of says, well, if you're really bad, then we'll give you the best players and you can start again. And it you do have teams go through. Yeah, and I think one of the problems with the Prem and other leagues is it does get dominated by the same names pretty much all the time, and because of the amount of money they've got and the spending power. Whereas that does happen also in the NBA, but like the second richest market in the NBA is New York, right? And New York have been trash for ages because they've got bad ownership.
And if Mark Littlewood is listening to this, which he might be now, New York Knicks are shit.
They're just really badly run. Such a terrible franchise, and
When were they? They were competing, weren't they, in the early '90s?
When they're Ewing,
John Stark. John Starks.
But they haven't had a. I'm just going to see when they last won a championship. But it's ages ago. It's not even in the '90s though, because obviously the Bulls won them all.
Won them all. Yeah, it was Bulls and Houston, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's
1970 and 1973, right?
To be fair, the my beloved Sixers has been a hot minute since they've won.
Yeah, but they've got close.
They've
got close a couple of times with they had a whole AI.
Not like they're not challenging. Where Knicks don't seem to be.
Where are the Knicks? Like they should be. They have the second biggest They've got the second biggest market behind LA. LA have got the biggest market. New York's the second biggest market. And the amount of money they make, like.
It's a strange one with the Knicks, I think, because obviously everyone's heard of the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
Because it's New York. But I've always found it's very, very similar to football in the way that a lot of the clubs have that pulling power because of their history that they've had. Like, for example, a lot of players will go, yeah, I'd love to play for LA because the history of the Showtime Lakers, then the Kobe and Shaq era, etc., etc. And the Boston's another one. It's like, well, they've got a fucking brilliant dynasty there. Sixers had that for a time as well. There's quite a few players, Scottie Pippen, for an example, wanted to be like Julius Erving. He was like, he's his hero. Growing up, he watched the Sixers play. And it's like, a few of these new clubs, they don't have that. I want to play for the Vancouver Grizzlies. I don't even know if they're Vancouver Grizzlies anymore. But you know what? You know what? It's been a hot since I've actually studied the league. That's just an example.
But it's just like what I love about
like when Toronto first sprung on the scene, everyone was like, "Fuck off."
But like, what was amazing was that they won it last year by just having a really big sneeze. But taking a risk on Kawhi Leonard and having a go at they had some really good players, Pascal Siakam, and they had something already there with Kyle Lowry or whatever. So you know, they were able to build, and actually they took a risk. Okay, had what they called Golden State Warriors not had so many issues, it might have been a different story there. Had LA pulled in some help for LeBron, then it might have been a different story there. And had he not scored that shot against the Sixers right at the last minute, right?
Heartbroken, mate.
I mean, that close, bounced on the rim as well. It wasn't even like straight in. It was like, and have you seen
that photo of him and Embiid, but they're both looking to see if it's gone in?
Yeah, he's sat on the floor. It's like literally, like, how bad a shot is the wrong word, but like that's not a regulation shot, right? He's that's a difficult shot because he's ended up sitting on the floor because he's so low down and so off balance, and it just happens to go in. And you know, I think Kawhi Leonard taking a 3-pointer in an open thing to close out a game, you're going to think it's going to go in, right? But off when he was under so much pressure, it was
freak shot. But that's what the playoffs is all about.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing I was trying to explain to Kate. She was like, "So how do the playoffs work?" I'm like, "Well, they're best of 7 games each round." And she was like, "What? So it's not like just a final?" I was like,
"No."
You don't just get home court advantage and win and then you've won the title. Well, you've got to play 7 games. Well, not 7 games.
7 games. Yeah. Best of.
But yeah, but this Last Dance, mate, it just showed how bad Chicago was until Jordan got there as well. Like, the United Center was never full because they were watching the Cubs or the White Sox or whatever. And they never got behind the Chicago Bulls because they were shit. And luckily, they got the 3rd pick in the draft.
Drafted 3rd.
New York obviously got Ewing. No, wrong.
No, Hakeem Olajuwon went to Houston Rockets. Then some nobody went somewhere who I think he played a season and got injured.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Was it the Bucks?
Yeah. But yeah.
Because they were set, like, the thing is, Hakeem, a hell of a player, right?
Yeah.
The dream. Like if you, as a big man, like I remember watching some tape of him and his footwork, and I think it was him coaching Dwight Howard, and it just like this old
dream, mate. Something else.
Incredible man, incredible footwork. So you can see why they already had a good guard. I seem to remember, like, they're saying, who do they have?
Clyde the Glide.
Clyde the Glide. Of course they did, right? So you're not going to say we want a rookie.
That's what they were saying in the series, that Houston didn't want to bring Jordan in because they already had Clyde Drexler, and they're the same player. Yeah. Yeah. So they got old Mikey in, and he was just phenomenal in his rookie season.
Yeah.
And then it showed a few of his clips in against Boston, because they were one of the first teams to make the playoffs with a losing record or something like that. They were
Boston?
No,
Bulls.
Bulls. Yeah.
Really, they had a losing record. I mean, in the East,
I think it was something like 51 and 31 and 50 something.
That's a big time.
And they got it in there, and Jordan was like, "I hate losing." So he basically was played almost every minute of every game of that playoff series, and one of the games he got a playoff record of like 69 points or something. He was just something else. Kate was even going, "Did he miss?" I went, "Of course he missed."
They just don't show it on the tape.
Just don't show on the tape. If you look at the tape, he scored 150 points every game. But
what's amazing is, like, when you watch a game live, like whether it be on TV or what, and you realise how often they miss, because you never see it in the highlights, right?
No, you don't. Like, fucking hell, they're good.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're good, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
like,
offense versus defense.
Right? I've been watching a game. Well, I'll be flicking through and I'll put the NBA on or something. Mrs. will be like, "Oh, you're gonna watch this full game?" I'm probably not gonna watch all the game, but I'll be watching it and they'll be taking these shots, and I'm like, "Why are you taking that shot?"
Yeah.
What an awful shot. Looked like a goddamn brick.
It's just amazing. It's amazing how quick it is, though. Like, I remember when I watched, who was it? LeBron and the Cavs versus the Sixers with Carmelo Anthony. And I just remember Kevin Love catching a rebound, just throwing it down the court. And LeBron wasn't even over halfway when he threw the ball. And he launched this thing like an absolute rocket. And LeBron just catches it and just... And I was like, I could never catch that. If you threw that at me and I was stood there ready, it would hit me in the chest. I would fly backwards and then the ball would bounce out of my hands because it was thrown. It was so fast and they were so quick. Like that, these guys are 6'8", 6'6".
They move like smaller people. It's weird.
Yeah, and that's what they say about LeBron. Is he's 6'8", however whatever his weight is. He's huge. And he just moves as if he's 6 foot tall.
They did this analysis on Scotty because he was 6 foot or 5'11", 6 foot, something like that. So he started out as a guard.
Yeah.
So he used to be a very skilled guard, basically. And over a summer, he grew like 8 inches. Like
Anthony Davis did.
Yeah, and it was like, so he kept all his ball skills as a guard, but now he can. And then they basically told him you need to get bigger, so he hit the gym and became a fucking Scottie Pippen, fucking animal. But yeah, you generally don't realise how good fucking Scotty was until you start watching highlights of him in that documentary.
Because he went to Portland after, didn't he?
Yeah,
and he did all right in Portland.
They almost won the
Yeah. This is going to be really good content for all those guys that listen that don't really have interest into basketball.
Fuck, it is what it is. But it's funny because you've got Scottie Pippen who did pretty well with the Portland team. Yeah, it was a very aging team. I think they had a few players that were on the way out as well. So they had an old team.
Yeah.
And then you get Jordan, who thought it'd be a good idea to buy the Wizards, and they were just shit.
I think he didn't buy. It was a weird thing in that he didn't buy the Wizards because he got the Bobcats, didn't he? He's got Charlotte, I think.
Oh yeah, Charlotte.
But they made him go. If he went to the Wizards, then he had an option to buy a team or something. I can't remember what it was. It was some weird arrangement.
It was strange that he went to the Wizards anyway.
Yeah. And did you see him miss a dunk in? I don't know if it was the All-Star game.
Yeah, it was. We stayed up to watch it, mate.
Yeah.
Round Lyle, mate.
Round Lyle.
And we were watching it, and we saw him at the open lane, and we were all like, yeah! Oh!
Bing.
The same case Tracy McGrady did the pass himself.
Yes. Amazing. Remember the first time anyone had ever seen that? What a player T-Mac was. Have you seen his interviews when he talks about playing with Vince and then playing with Kobe? Because him and Kobe were actually reasonably good friends, and he was like, "Yeah, we should have just played together, but we never really thought about it, and we never really sort of made moves. But I should have just forced my way to LA, and then could you imagine that front court, or what are they, front court, back court? I can never remember." Kobe,
yeah, there's certain things. Why didn't they team up?
Yeah.
Sooner or whatever. But I didn't realise he finished his career at Spurs.
Yeah. And he went and they were just trying to get a ring, and T-Mac had never won a playoff series or something like that because he'd always been on he'd been the best player, a standout player on weak teams. And I think it's he'd never made it to the second round of the playoffs.
The team wasn't very good. It was just him and Yao Ming.
Yeah. And the same at the Magic, and then the same at Toronto, right?
Yeah.
They didn't even know they were cousins, by the way. They turned up at practice this first time, and there was the dad was like, "Oh, by the way, that's your cousin," and they're like, "What?
Have you met Tracy? That's your cousin."
Yeah, it's your cousin.
When you think about it, if they had been put together a little bit later on,
yeah,
how good that they would have been, the Raptors. But even 2001, the Raptors weren't too bad because they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and AI just went, if I'm 6 foot, I'm better than you.
What a player. But yeah, it's such an interesting, like, it is an interesting sport, the way that it kind of plays out. And
it's mad, isn't it? I think we sort of touched on this in the last one. How much we thought we knew about basketball when we were, and we both went off and did a little bit extra with whoever else, like in Cheltenham or whatever, and you went up to university and you're like, oh, I don't really know. Like,
how bad it is.
We were decent players, but then you go to a play against a team that have been coached properly, and you're like, oh.
And I mean, I think had we not have had, and I obviously don't like the guy, I won't even say his name, the coach that we had.
He who shall not be named.
He who shall not be named, right? Because he did some pretty terrible stuff. But had we not had him coach us and like elevate our game, I think I probably would have struggled at uni getting into the team. But then when you get to uni, you see some of these guys who are just, some of them phenomenal. But I think it was the dedication to the sport and like actually enjoying training and wanting to learn that I think probably got me through into the team, and then starting in the team later on, and being relatively tall.
That's always a plus.
Yeah. But then, like, it's funny how different coaches emphasize different things. And I look back at all my different coaches that I've had over the years, and even my most recent coach when I was in Hitchin, which was when I finished the PhD. What was that? 2015, and like, he was teaching me stuff. I was like, why did no one ever tell me this before? Why did no one ever like tell me this in that? Said, effectively like how to work out the distance that you should stand from your defender, in as much as, here's a triangle. Can you get to that point just by moving laterally quicker than the person who's in front of you, who have a head start on you, can get to that same point? And if you can't get there, then make it so they've got to travel further by just standing a little bit back, and you can still move sideways as quick as possible. And so if you've got a more athletic player, just take a little bit of a step back and then work out how tall you are and how much taller you are, so can they shoot over you. And it's all you have to do is work those two things out, and you can work out roughly how far away I should be standing from this player. No one ever said that to me in however many 10 years, 20, 15 years of playing basketball, until I rocked up to Hitchin Kings with coach. And so you just pick stuff up because different people have learned different stuff. I don't know if you can still hear me because you've gone still.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Taking it all. But, and then there'll be, there's just stuff from all over the place, whether it be Bigsy and the guys when I went to Gloucester and Cheltenham, or whether it was stuff from Hereford, or stuff, fast break from Bradley. I don't know what it was with Bradley, this fast break drill.
Definitely a drill, wasn't really a play.
No, it wasn't a play, because in the said drill, it's a fast break, right? So the idea is to get down and score quickly, right? And I'm going to break it down for you, Sean, because I don't know if you'll have thought about this before. But what happened is the big man got the rebound and gave an outlet to the guard. The guard then passed it to a wing player, who then passed it to the other wing player, right? And then at the end, you passed it back inside to the big man, who's run the whole length of the floor. And actually, a much better play would have been, you get the outlet and you just pass it, and the person who's closest to the basket scores the layup. But it was just a way of getting us to run the floor, I suppose.
And I think that drill only really worked upstairs.
No, I think that actually that stuff, I remember doing doing as well in Hawks. And I remember a couple of times like launching balls down for you and Steve and some of the other guards, and just getting fast break points on
with our Hawks team. I think that set drill worked for us because we were younger and quicker.
Yeah, look what I found.
Hey! I don't know where mine is, mate.
You probably burned it.
No, I didn't. Big time. Oh, Big Smithy. Mine had mad skills on the packet.
Yeah, we were a phenomenal team. It says GBBA Cup winners 2005 or whatever it is. 2005. GBBA Cup winners 2005 when we won the Handicap Cup. Doesn't say.
Call it that.
The Handicap Cup. You're allowed to call it Handicap Cup. You put a handicap. Basketball loves a Handicap Cup. I remember playing in when I was in the West Midlands League, and it was a Handicap Cup. And I think we had like 100-point handicap against these kids. We were the university team, so we were pretty athletic, strong, well coached, played quite a lot. And we went and we turned up and we played against effectively the Hawks team, you know, a load of 15, 16-year-olds who were basically just kind of just out of school. And we were obviously all much bigger than them. But we had this massive, massive handicap to catch up. And they didn't have a 3-point line or something stupid in their court. And it was like, wow, how are we gonna make this up without a 3-point line?
From your own basket, obviously.
Yeah, it was just...
I always think with things like that, it worked well for us because it obviously gave us as young kids a boost.
Definitely.
Like when we played, I can't remember they were obviously very
YMCA.
Yeah, they were very skilled veteran players, and
there was like Tornadoes, who were like old boys, but they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, so they were like the best in the league, and we beat them, but obviously because we had that, but that gave us such a boost. And I remember playing a few games where we turned up against, I think it was He Who Shall Not Be Named's new team.
Yes.
And we fucking battered them.
They took Max, didn't they? They took Max off us, and he was playing for them.
Yeah. And I schooled him because that's what I do.
I think I dunked in that game. That was like my only game.
I got told off by whoever. Was it Nick? Was our coach then?
Yeah, Tricky Nicky.
He told me off, and I believe your dad told me off because I had a fast break and I attempted to dunk.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I hit the back of the... How I managed to get up that high anyway.
Yeah, adrenaline, mate.
6. And white.
Can't jump, mate. I
was that close to dunking it. I mean, brilliant.
That game, I remember one thing happening. We used to do a thing with George where it was a drill where you try and get in the other player's face and you'd like, go ball, 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 ball.
Oh, yeah.
And I did that, and the ref called a technical foul on me for shouting ball at the player. Yeah, probably a sportsmanlike or something. And George told his player to miss the free throws. He's like, he's allowed to do that. Like, effectively, he's like, yeah, I taught him that. And not to say the honour of him, but he was like, I think he told his player to miss. And then in that game, I don't know what reason it was. It wasn't that reason, but he turned up after half time, and got out a rule book and kind of threw it at the referee. Just like, what a knob.
As you do. That is a knobbish thing to do. Yeah. I love these little things that just pop back into your head. But brilliant times, mate. I used to love it.
Yeah, I would loved it. Like Friday nights would be well up for going basketball. And then like sometimes we come back to mine. I remember we used to get chips, but then a bit later on we'd go down to the pub, wouldn't we? After with
we go down the
Orange Street, mate. And like we just turn up in like basically our basketball kit, like still sweaty, and it's like meet your old man there. We're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing, boy?
Funny.
Oh, fucking good times, though, mate.
But like, it's good. It's useful, and I think
the summer league was good.
Yeah.
I remember we were playing a really annoying YMCA team that were good when they had their proper team. But
they had two teams, didn't they?
they had that shit one, and I remember board checking someone. That big fat sweaty
fat guy. He was so weird because he dribbled the ball. They've got like the smallest court, like regulation court in the UK, apparently, right? Who knows? But it's this tiny court, and there's walls right up, so you can't it's not even like you've got space. They've used up all the space for the court, and it's not quite big enough. And yet that guy would dribble the ball up, and they had green, didn't they?
Yeah.
And he just hold the ball up like this, and he just pass it, and that's it. He never did anything else. He never, and then he just like wait and just like do a bit of defense maybe. But I remember he landed on me. I don't know what happened, but like we were both trying to get a ball, and he just landed on top of me and just like bounced up. I'd be like,
I remember I went up for a layup, and one of them took me out from underneath. I landed on my elbow.
That's called doing a Ross Griffiths.
Yeah.
But it is.
But the one that really sticks out in my mind was playing against Gloucester Police, and I got forearm smashed.
Forearm in the face. Yeah, and he who shall not be named marched us off the court. He said that if they're going to do stuff like that, we're not going to play because these are kids, and you're a police officer who's obviously whatever. And I remember the guy that did it as well.
Well, man, a few of them, because obviously he worked in the prison, didn't he? My old man?
Yeah.
He went and had a little chat.
Yeah, I remember that game.
But by all accounts, those fuckers used to go and speak to the referee before the game and say little niggly things to him. So they used to do it in in football matches. My old man was saying, the police, they're horrible.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
But, yeah, we were like 15, 16 and getting forearm smashed by a 35-year-old man.
Yeah, police officer.
Because I made him look silly.
It was just, I remember seeing it, and I don't think I was on the court. I think I must have been on the bench.
I got called for.
Yeah,
I spun round him. And as I came back in to go up, he smacked me in the face, and I took 2 steps.
Yeah.
Stumbled back third, and he went travelling. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then he gave me a technical because I did a Sean and lost my temper.
Funny that. Never been done before.
There's a shock.
I don't know what it is. I remember you and 2 other players of mine, all point guards, that I have had to like physically wrap my arms around and like walk away from wherever it's been going on.
Small man syndrome, mate.
Yeah. You, Alex, and Fabrice, and one of them, I thought he was probably going to take the head off the referee. I probably talked about this last time.
I've had many a time like that. In many sports. All sports.
Yeah. All sports.
Shouldn't be allowed to play sport because angry man.
No, I think how angry you'd be if you didn't play sport, eh?
Yeah. It's fucking... I do miss basketball, and then obviously I started playing a little bit, didn't I, in those little shoot about things.
Yeah.
Even there, I could see that I have like a raw level where I could still play, but I could sort of see and go, oh, I'd probably be more of a sub player now. Where I'd come off.
Yeah.
Or come on, should I say? But yeah, you see him do screens and movements that you'd be like, well, I was never taught to do that. Yeah, we would set screens, but it was always you would come and set a screen for me because I've got the ball in my hand. It was never I'm setting off.
Yes, off-ball screens. Yeah, and again, that only stuff sort of came in when I was at uni, I think. Sort of much more advanced like movements. Well, we did do off-ball screens because we did that motion offense that George taught us. Sorry, he shall not be named taught us. Where you screen away from the ball and then come around. But like we never really did it quite right.
He was another one that never really gave us set plays.
No, we had a couple of inbound plays. We had our motion offense.
Was it Nick that brought in Overload? The Overload offense?
Yeah, that was such a weird one. Guys, I want you to all stand on the same side of the court. This will work if
But
they're
the only
so.
ones that ever, this is for the Hawks now, the only ones that ever thought of any sort of plays that were never really used was me and you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we actually enjoyed doing that sort of stuff where we'd sit down and go, all right, if we do this, this, and this, even if it was just
It's probably nonsense.
it was just me and you.
You pass it to me, and then I'll pass it back to you. And you pass it to me, and I'll pass it back to you. And then one of us two will score, and then everyone else needs to get back on defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Gaunt can take a 3.
Every now and then. Or your brother can take a 3 every now and then from halfway.
Halfway, he hit a lot of those from halfway at the end of a quarter or end of a game. Crazy, and he was out of control, just like leaping forward, legs of Kimbo, just throwing the ball.
He had an ugly technique, didn't he?
Ugly half-court technique.
Oh, he was funny, your brother. He cracked me up. He was another one that was a hand grenade.
Yeah, he'd go off.
Yeah, he would go off.
Yeah. He'd get angry at stuff.
Oh, fucking hell, Smudger. We've been going for a fucking hour, kid.
Right, yeah, we should probably call it a day. Probably call it a day. Bedtime.
Bedtime for me. Well, I'm up. Got work. Key worker.
So,
for those of you that have been listening to the Granite Zero podcast that have just gone, well, that was random. You're welcome.
Stay safe, Mal. Yeah, always good to talk.
And you, brother. Always.
Cheerio.
Catch you in a bit.
Bye.
Ciao for now.